KSAP Beats.
Welcome to another episode of Wired In with Belly. Let's get wired in and let's just talk. And not today. We're not going to necessarily just talk about code. I want to talk about dealing with pessimistic people or just pessimism thoughts. Especially as an entrepreneur or just whatever you're trying to achieve in life. A lot of times, when you're trying to do something, especially something different that everyone else is doing, whether it's around your friends or your family, they're going to look at you different because you're not doing what they're doing. And a lot of people are just comfortable. They're content. And when you want more, that means you're going to embrace new challenges. So for me, when I was a kid, I said, I'm going to go to college. This is what was like instilled in me as a kid. You're going to go to college. I remember going to different, I guess you could say conferences as a kid where a lot of universities would come talk to us and they will give you the statistics of, you're going to be better off if you have a degree because you'll make this much money and you'll be able to pay off your loans and you get excited. You can live the great life. You can take care of your family. And you're like, oh, man, it's worth it. College is worth it. Then you start going through college. You start noticing, things are different now. We'll apply for a job. After all the hard work, all the studying, all the stressful late nights, studying for your exam, writing that 20-page paper, you apply for this job. And they say, well, you have the degree, but you don't have enough experience. If you don't have a degree, they'll say, well, you have the experience, but you don't have a degree. So basically getting into certain places is not what you know, it's who you know. And that becomes discouraging. And there's a lot of people with master degrees, bachelors, that are underemployed and unemployed. And as a result, in my generation, at least, I can speak, we're kind of fed up and we're just like, you know what? I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to do something that I love to do, and I'm just going to start my own. Or whatever I went to school for, I'm going to figure out how I can monetize this myself and make a business, whether I can be a freelancer, be a consultant, freelance consultant or whatever, freelance software developer. And a lot of times people in your family, your friends, they'll say, why would you do that? What if it doesn't work? What if there's a lot of what ifs they have? It creates a lot of anxiety because what people will do is they'll place their fears onto you. So they'll start questioning you when you already are dealing with the anxiety about it, but it's still fun because you're going through the process because you're learning and you're growing. But then every now and then you'll have someone that kind of marginalize what you're doing, or they'll try to minimize you as a human being just for doing something different. And yes, I said minimize as a human being because to me that's what you're doing. You have haters, and a lot of times we look at the word hater and we use it as, oh, someone's envious, they're a hater. They're jealous, they're a hater. But if you look at the definition of a hater, and I'm going to paraphrase, there's two definitions, I think, in the Webster Dictionary. One definition, you can have a strong dislike for something. So let's say I don't like broccoli, right? I hate broccoli. Two, a hater is a negative or a critical person, right? The Urban Dictionary, and again, I'm paraphrasing, you can look this up. A hater is someone basically who is talking down on someone who's trying to be successful. And what they do is they try to find a flaw and expose that flaw when someone's trying to be successful. That's a hater. And you have a lot of people that are like that. And a lot of people would do these things, and then at the end they'll say, "Well, I'm not hating. I'm just telling the truth." No, you're hating. You're being critical. Now, you can have constructive criticism, but when you're just being critical and just being negative, you're a hater. And most people that are like that, they're just unhappy with their life. You got people that, they make pretty good money on their job, but they're stressed and they're just not happy. They think they're happy because they're able to, they can maintain, they can pay their bills, but when they go home, they watch TV, they watch the news, they consume a lot of things that can fuel negative energy, and they project that onto you. Or they might work in a toxic work environment, and they bring that negative energy home. And then they'll get on social media, and then they'll look at everybody else and what they're doing and compare their life to their life, to others' life. And they get this sense of, I'm just unhappy. What am I doing? They're just existing. They're not learning anything new. And when you think back in the older days, what we used to do is, I think the early Homo sapiens and I think even the Neanderthals, they would work all day. And then when they would go home, they would learn new skills. And we don't do that. What we do is we'll go to work for 8, 12 hours, sometimes 14 hours. We go home, we're tired. I get that. You're not really able to put in that energy. And then on your day off, you just want to relax. But we have the energy to get on social media. We have the energy to watch mindless television. That's not making us better. We could take that energy to acquire more knowledge or do something we love. In this day and age, anybody can become an entrepreneur and start a business with doing something that they love, whether it's, designing clothes or fashion, cooking, farming, marketing. You can do all that stuff at home. That can be like passive income. But we choose not to do these things because we're comfortable. So then when you see someone that's like taking risk and say, you know what, I'm going to just start my own business, you're going to look at them. It's like, how is this going to work? I don't see the payoff for this. Just go out and get a job. It's more secure. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying people should just quit their job. You know what you have to do. But what I'm saying is, if you want to start a business, start that business. I've been tested, and several times I would try to explain to family, entrepreneurship, because I don't come from a family of entrepreneurs. I'm just going to be honest. They don't really understand it. Most people think that the people they see on TV are just an anomaly. And a lot of times these people that are financially successful that we see on TV, we don't know their story. We don't know the struggle. We see the success, but we don't know the struggle. And even when they talk about the struggle, we still disregard it and just look at what they have and what they're able to buy. And here in America, we're just brainwashed that if we get money, we buy more stuff. That's one of the reasons why I don't really like watching a lot of TV, because it's not necessarily the shows, it's the commercials. They're advertising things that are not really good for you, things that are unhealthy, like McDonald's, Burger King. You spend money, and they don't spend millions of dollars, billions of dollars on advertisements because they think they can get you to buy something. They do it because they know they can. And we watch this stuff, and then we buy, we consume. We don't think about saving. You got people that make six figures. I'll look at someone like, oh man, they make $150,000 a year. Wow, they're set. No, a lot of people live check to check making six figures because, we're not perfect. We all make decisions financially that put us in a hole. I've done it. And as an entrepreneur myself, I'm working on that because I'm realizing when you're really struggling, you're kind of forced to be frugal. And then once you start really making money, you'll manage your money better because you don't want to go back to that state. But, you know, back to what I was saying about, pessimistic people. There's times where I'll feel really good, and then all of a sudden somebody's like, will say something negative, and it's just like, why? Like, why are you putting that energy off to me? Why are you speaking negativity, over my life? And some people don't mean any harm. They think they're doing something good for you, or they're being constructive, but they're not. And I'll tell you, this is what family members can do. Instead of talking down on like your son, your daughter, your niece, your nephew, your mom, your dad on starting a business, and if they ask you, well, how are you going to promote it? Well, why don't you help them promote it on social media? One thing I don't understand, we'll support celebrities, people we don't know. We'll post their stuff. We'll worship them. But the people that's close to us, if they're trying to start something, we never think, you know what, my son or daughter, they're trying to start a business. I'm going to help promote their stuff on my site or on my social media accounts. I'm going to somewhat get involved in just word of mouth. And I'm talking about being consistent and being sincere about it. It kind of makes you think that they don't want to see you make it. Some people just want to see you fail just so they can say they were right. And you have to avoid that at all costs because that will discourage you. You'll want to throw in the towel. I've experienced that recently where, someone basically just said what I'm doing isn't shit. And it's like, wow, most people that's trying to start something and build something, they work harder than the person that works a 9 to 5 or 12 hours because they have to work that hard. It's never ending. There's no off season for an entrepreneur. At least when you work a job, there's an off season. And again, I don't think it's bad that people work a job. I think people should do what's best for them. Not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody wants to work for someone. So I don't think either side should talk down on each other. We should be more a little supportive. But when you're starting on your own, you get into a dark place because a lot of people that surround you, they're not going to really relate. Especially if you work from home. People think because you work from home, oh, you just have all this free time. I'm just going to bug you. I'm going to call you and just talk about what's going on with me. I don't care what you have going on. But if I was working a 9 to 5, no one would call me during those hours to try to talk. See what I mean? We don't respect people. We don't respect entrepreneurs. Well, some people don't. I experienced that. So what I do is when I'm writing code, I put my phone on silent. Or if I'm working, period, I put my phone on silent. I don't care if it's 8 hours I'm working. I don't care if it's 12 hours. I don't care if it's 16 hours I'm working. My phone's on silent because I need to focus. I don't want to be bombarded with phone calls that will take me off focus. I don't want to have a phone call where somebody might have a bad day, then all of a sudden they just want to criticize what I'm doing. I don't want to deal with that. So, and plus I feel like cell phones make it too convenient. And as an entrepreneur, we have to set boundaries. And you have to establish those boundaries early. So people will know, you know what, hey, he's really working. Because some people just don't understand entrepreneurship. They really don't. They don't really understand the grind. They don't really understand the anxiety you have. They don't understand of you living day to day not knowing what's going to happen, good or bad. You're going through this journey, and you never know, tomorrow something might happen that change your life. You know what I mean? Most people who going to work, it's just the same routine. They pretty much know what they're going to get. It's the same structure. When you're an entrepreneur, you don't really have a structure. I mean, you can plan your day, but things can change. Things can change drastically. And like I said, I don't come from a family of entrepreneurs. And so I want to break that cycle, because I feel like in this day and age, you should think about entrepreneurship or starting a business, side business, because there's no such thing as job security anymore. And I feel like in the next decade, especially for software developers, they're just going to contract them. They're not going to really hire a lot of full-time developers. Most jobs you look for, they're just contract work. And that's fine. But in the meanwhile, what I do is I build apps. And do I make a lot of money off my apps? No, I don't make a whole lot of money. Not like I want, but I make money. If I keep being consistent, it will get better. But sometimes even I get discouraged. And that's why I have to watch who I talk to from time to time. I have to get away from people who have negative energy, because that will disrupt my focus. Someone said something to me Saturday so bad that I didn't even want to work Sunday or Monday. And yesterday I had to really fight. And I was just so tired and fatigued and mentally exhausted, because I'm already stressed about what I'm working on. I was actually working on something that took me forever to really get working coding wise. And then for someone to kind of like talk down on me, like, oh, what you're doing is this and this. They'll say, oh, I believe it's going to work, but what about the money? What about the money? Like, people are so focused on chasing money. I know the money will come. And I get that. I know the money will come. And I'm patient with that. But I know the last job I worked, I was miserable. And I was making pretty good money, but I was miserable. I was stressed. I have myasthenia gravis, and that's an autoimmune disease. And also, it's myasthenia gravis awareness month. That affects the muscles and just weakness in your body. I went into a crisis after my last job. And I'm thinking, is it worth it? So if I'm going to work hard, I want to do it to where it's not as stressful. Because if I'm doing it for me, I'm in control. I'm not in control when I work for someone, and that's the problem. But at least I'm in control. So I think that, when you're on the journey, you have to meditate. You have to really set some kind of structure and boundaries when you're dealing with people, especially family members. Those are the ones that usually talk down. And I'm going to say something that many might not agree with, but I can't speak for all cultures, because I think they all go through this. I think we all as humans, but for what I find, especially, being a black person, when you're trying to do something, your family are the ones that be the most negative and critical. They're not really that supportive. They'll say like, yeah, they're supportive. I think they want to see you do well. I don't think they want to see you do bad. But because in our culture, we want things fast. We want to make money quick. And that's not even just a black culture. That's just a society thing, really. We want it fast. We don't believe in patience. We don't believe in the process. We don't believe in your passion being your entertainment. That's why I say your passion should be your entertainment, because I consume coding, just technology. I read about it. I listen to other podcasts about it. I read books about it. I watch conferences. I look at other developers. I interact with other developers. That consumes me more than, I guess pop culture, just entertainment that most consume on a daily basis, like, watching, sitcoms or reality TV or just a bunch of movies. Like, I don't really binge watch shows on Netflix or Hulu. I don't really watch shows like that. The only thing I watch as a guilty pleasure is WWE. I do have the WWE Network. I'm a wrestling fan. But even that, I don't watch that as much. That's just something if I really need to, like, take a break that's something for me to get into. Like I said, we all got to have a balance. I do agree with that. But this is what consumes me. And I'm doing this podcast because I was really discouraged. Like I said, Saturday, I'm just like, to hell with it. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of dealing with people and their pessimism and like putting that off onto me because of their fears. And then I realized that's a test. You're going to be tested a lot as an entrepreneur. It's not going to be, what we see on TV and motivational speakers. We think, oh, it's fun. It's going to be cool. Don't get me wrong, it's fun. But you're going to deal with some stuff. You're going to deal with negative people. But my philosophy is if you're dealing with a lot of negative people, you're doing something right. Not everybody's going to necessarily be rooting for you. Even people that say they root for you, think about it. Secretly in the back of their mind, they might not think you'll be able to do well. They might be rooting for you to fail. Like I said, just to say that they were right. But then when you make it, oh, I knew you could do it. And, people are like that. So, if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to run into pessimism. You're going to run into people who, not everybody's going to think alike, but who don't understand how you think or why you're doing what you're doing. You're going to run into that. And that's unfortunate. Hold on, let me get a sip of water. Water is good, y'all. You're going to run into that. I run into it. But it motivates me to even go harder. It really does. It motivates me to go harder. Because I believe I was born to be a leader. I was born to do this. And this is just a new challenge. This is one of the biggest challenges that I'm going through. Because I'm always trying to figure it out every day. I'm trying to figure out how to, keep my sanity and not explode. I go for walks. I try to eat healthy. I try to make sure I have enough energy. I have sleep. I try not to talk to a lot of people who have just negative energy. And some people can't help it. We all go through stuff, but some people are just so heavy. You don't want to carry on that load. So I set boundaries. I will set a day like maybe on Saturdays or Sundays where I'm somewhat open to talk. Talk on the phone, talk to my friends or family. I don't make myself accessible. And I don't care who gets upset about that. I don't make myself accessible because I'm serious about this. Don't make yourself accessible. Only make yourself accessible if it's like business. If you're really, during the week, it should be your time to really work. Here's a suggestion. Just work hard Monday through Friday. And Saturdays, do what you want. Sundays, do what you want. I know everyone says 7 days a week, but that's not for everyone. I'm not going to project that onto everyone. But do what works for you. But I think it is important to have that balance. Like I said, I do talk to my friends. It's not like I just be antisocial. But I do set boundaries, especially with, family that can really be, pessimistic and they have a lot of anxiety because I deal with that myself. I don't want to talk to somebody that's like always just talking negative. Not even just about me starting a business, but just negative energy, period. People that have a lot of anger. I don't want to be around that. And I don't advise anyone that's on the journey to be around that, because I'll tell you what will happen. You start consuming that, it's going to distract you. You're not going to be able to focus. There's days where I just turn my phone off. Maybe go for days, just turn my phone off. And if I know I'm going to get a business call, I usually get that through email. So I know, okay, I'll turn my phone on, but I have my phone off. Turn it off. I don't like being accessible to begin with, period. But especially when it comes to me writing code or, marketing and cut down on social media time, I try to avoid that so I can get more done, be more productive. That's what it's all about, is being productive and trying to solve a problem and doing what I love. And I'm not going to ever give up. Someone asked me, what's the end goal? Like, the end goal is that my business is going to be successful. There is no giving up. There is no quitting. I've invested too much time into this. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give in. I'm not going to, because of what it looks like. I know what hard work does for me. I know when I work hard, things pay off. And I'm going to stick with that. It might not pay off when I think, but what I have to do is I have to always be willing to make adjustments, make changes. If something's not working, try something different. That's fun. It's challenging, but it's fun. You have to look at it as, okay, it's fun because you're in control. So that's it for this episode. I just wanted to talk about that. I guess this episode was for me to vent and to get out what I had to get out. And I'm sure that others are going through the same thing. But like I said, don't listen to people that's being negative. Now, you can listen to constructive criticism if it helps. But if someone's talking down on you or placing their fears onto you or thinking they're better just because they have more money in what they're doing, don't do that. Just remember, those people are miserable. And pessimism loses in the end. So stay focused. Stay focused on your goal. Meditate every day and just stay focused. So that's it. You can follow me on Twitter at Appavelli. You can follow me on Instagram at Appavelli, where I'll post photos about coding, funny memes, inspiration. I'll post my apps. I'm going to start actually doing IGTV demos, doing demos of my apps. So look out for that. You can reach me on Facebook, Pragmatic Dev Solutions, where you'll see, again, my apps. You can reach me www.pragmaticdevsolutions.com, appavelli.com to subscribe to the podcast, listen to it on other platforms. So that's it for this episode. Stay wired in. Stay away from pessimistic people. Stay positive. Consume positive energy. Don't distract yourself, even with entertainment. Don't listen to a bunch of stuff that can trigger negativity. Always be positive. If you have to listen to inspirational stuff, listen to inspirational stuff. Don't listen to all that negative stuff, because that's where anxiety and bad thoughts creep in. So until next time, I'm going to write some code, and I'm out.